In this video, we're going to take a look at UCS Work Features and how they can help us create more complex modeling without a whole slew of other work features getting in our way and cluttering up our model tree. So here we have the UCS Work Features IPT, and essentially what I want to start doing is create different profiles that are going to be useful to help me create a loft on the back side of this piece. So I'm going to use the UCS Work Features to help me accomplish that goal. If I start the UCS command, this is up here on the Work Features panel, when I go to start to place it somewhere, I need to choose a reference of some kind in order to put it down. Now, if I choose just this face here somewhere, let's kind of turn that sideways. Look at that. It's just kind of floating out there. We want to have something to attach it to. So I'm going to hit escape to stop that command. And I'm going to go up to my point tools. I'm going to choose the center point of a loop of edges. It's one of my favorite work point commands. Here I'll choose the loop that I see here that drops in that work point for me. I'm also going to turn on the sketch that created that back side of this. So this was the body profile sketch. I'll simply right click on that and turn on visibility. I'm going to use that to help me create where my UCS should be. So I go back up to my UCS command. I'm going to pick that centroid. And now it wants me to specify an x-axis direction. I'm going to choose the bottom point here of this profile. Now it wants to specify a y-axis. Here I'll choose this point in the upper right. You can see it just helps orient that UCS in a more desirable manner. Now once that UCS is created, over my model tree, you'll see UCS1. If I expand that, this is my own custom user coordinate system. So I actually have YZ, XZ, XY planes, XY and Z axes, as well as a centroid point for that particular UCS. Now what that grants me is the ability to sketch on any one of those planes. So it's like I created 3 work planes and 3 axes and a center point with just one command. Now this modeling aspect you're going to see is actually very powerful. The UCS tool itself, though, has an additional tool inside the assembly environment where you can match up 2 different UCSs of 2 different parts to put them together as far as constraints and locking them into position inside of an IAM. But in this particular scenario, just worry about complex modeling. So let's continue on that path. If I would like to redefine this, because really having this UCS on that face doesn't do me much. I want it to be away from there, maybe tilted at a little bit of an angle. What I need to do is right-click on UCS1 and choose Redefine Feature. From here, I can then pull out the Z direction, the way I want to go, and I can actually type in a value there. And I can also change over to, let's say, the Y here and adjust that angle, maybe 5 degrees, maybe -5 degrees, just by typing that in. Let's do -10 to rotate that down. Here I'll move the X arrowhead just a little bit. There we go. So my UCS triad is now out in space at a predefined position. And maybe I'll go back here and tilt this one back up. So here you see it at 0 degrees because that's the new neutral point for it. So if I do 10, it's going to rotate it back up to where it was. Do 15, it's a little bit higher. I'll right click and choose Finish because I'm done modifying that. Now I can go up to my 2D sketch command and I can choose one of these planes to start sketching on. So here I'll choose this one and I'll just create some sort of a circle here really quick. Nothing too fancy. Put a dimension on it, finish the sketch. So what I have is a profile that's created a little bit further out there. Now as we're looking at it, it doesn't look like it's really off skew that much. But if I had to create work features, work planes, work axes, and things like that in order to get that out there, it would have been rather tedious. So I like to create another one even further out. I'll do another UCS. And I like to reference it from the same spot here. So I'll just repeat my steps I did the first time by choosing those points. And I'm going to right click on UCS2 in my model tree and choose the Redefine. Here I'll pull this one out much further. I want to pull this one down in the X and rotate this one in the Y. Here I'll do -15. I'll go ahead and finish that there. So now I have another UCS that's out there. And let's try a loft. So I'll grab my loft command. a loft from this profile to this profile. And then down here, I don't really have any sketches on there. Let's see if we can access the center point. I'll expand UCS2 and grab the center point. Sure enough, you can attach right onto that. And on my conditions, I'm going to make this a tangent at that point with a degree of tangency of 10 there. And I'll choose OK. Now, what I can do is go back and modify those UCSs, and my loft would change based on that. So if I went back and changed my first UCS and rotated that a little bit, it'll change how my loft appears. Not only is it a nice advanced way to create a ton of work features for you right away, it's also a great way to go back and kind of tweak and modify and really play with your design without having to go into a lot of history in order to get that. So let's kind of take a look at that here briefly. I'll go back to UCS1 and choose Redefine. Here I'll rotate this one back to 0. A little bit further down here, let's do 5. I'm going to move it up in the X a little bit. Right-click and choose Finish, and that's modified the way my loft looks. Now it's a very small change. Let's do that out here with the second UCS instead. We'll see a little bit more drastic change. Here I'll take this X all the way up here and see what that does. Quite a change. Have fun changing those work features had you create them as work planes, right? So let's do another redefine on that. How about we move it out in the Y direction here a little bit, back down on the X, rotate that up this way a little bit and see what that looks like. You can see it's curving over there a little bit. Some really powerful stuff.